time this year we've got to see the balloons released by the crowd. We saw that reminiscing back in the 92 campaign.
And without a doubt, this is one of the largest crowds we've had here this year. Not only on the home side, but on the visitor side as well.
Yeah, virtual standing room only on each end. They're lining the fence from both sides. Tellico Plains yet to come in tonight. Well, you got our starting lineup for the Tellico Plains Bears.
That's right, starting at quarterback for the Bears will be senior at 5'11", 160 pounds, Morgan Dalton. One of the halfbacks who sometimes switches out and plays a little end is number 20. His halfback is Jeremiah Kirkland. He's 6'1", 180. He's a senior also. The fullback is Billy Burnett, number 35, 6 foot 225 senior. The other halfback that switches in and out for the Tellico Plains Bears is number 46, Stephen Bird. He's 5'10", 175 pounds senior. The center is Adam Garrett. The guards are number 76, Steve Monger. The center, Adam Garrett, is number 50. The other guard is number 99, David McJunkin. He's 6'1", 200-pound junior. The tackle is number 73, Ronnie Brannon. He's the big man. He's 6'5", 260 pounds. He's a senior. The other tackle is Mark Lester, number 68, 5'11", 220. He, too, is a senior. Sometimes they run out of a double tight end formation. At that time, the tight ends will be number 80, Mitchell Hamilton, who's 6 foot 190 pound senior, and Mike Hall, number 90, who is a tight end also at 6 foot 205 pounds. He is a junior. Tellico Plains has 11 seniors, 13 juniors, 7 sophomores, and 7 freshmen, so a very experienced squad. And looks like the captains for Tellico Plains are going to be number 76, Steve Monger, number 9, Daniel Harms. He is the go-to man at halfback. He's 6 foot 180 pound senior. Number 20 is Jeremiah Kirkland, and number 72 is Charlie Phillips. And several other Tellico Plains players out there with him. For Oneida, Pete Shoemaker, Joe Jeffers, Josh Thompson, and Cully Phillips.
Tellico Plains, this is their first playoff win came this year. So this obviously the farthest they've ever been in the playoffs. This is the quarterfinal round.
This is the, well, go ahead.
And as they toss the coin, and AFC Indian KC2 has won the toss, and they're tossing to Oneida. Maybe they won it. Well, he's getting the decisions. Tellico Plains, it looks as won the toss and probably will defer to the second half.
They will receive.
And they will receive.
Started talking about Tellico Plains just being the first year they've been in the playoffs since 1983, and they lost in the first round. Then they were Class A. Then they lost to Copper Basin, 12-7. They finished the season 9-1. Their only loss was to their district rival, and at that time ranked number 1 team in the state, Meigs County. But they have looked impressive so far this year, and I think one of the reasons for that is their size. They are big. Their front line averages around 240 pounds, and they've got a couple of real monsters in there at 255, 260. They got some sophomores and freshmen that are coming in with weights like that.
Well, this by far will be the biggest team that Oneida has faced this year.
Back to receive for Tellico Plains will be number 9, Daniel Harms, and he's the dangerous man. He had 27 rushes for 202 yards last week and accounted for 4 of their touchdowns and even threw a 2-point conversion. The other back is number 20, Jeremiah Kirkland.
Jerry Garrett set to kick it away for the Indians as the quarterfinals of the Class AA state playoffs are about to get underway here at Oneida. It'll be a short kick taken by the up man. He's nailed and taken down at the 35-yard line.
That was the fullback, Billy Burnett, and he is a big man at 6'1", 180, but he sure looks a lot bigger than that, doesn't he? Number 73 out there, the one that seems to stand out above everybody else, is 6'5", 260-pound senior Ronnie Brannon.
Phil Meredith come off on that play. He was on the kickoff coverage, come off holding his arm. Hopefully he'll be all right. And taken down for maybe a gain of 1 is number 9, Daniel Harms. And he's the halfback.
Yeah, they run out of that single wing, and a lot of times the quarterback will be standing back there, and the center will just center it directly to Harms and let him take off with it. They do a lot of misdirection.
The linebackers will be called on tonight to really be smart and pay attention out there for Oneida.
Harms back in the shotgun once again on the single wing.
And Daniel King finally wrestles him down. Looks like he had a hard time, Mel, trying to figure out which way he wanted to run that time.
Well, I don't think, with the exception of maybe Meigs County, they've probably not faced a defensive squad that plays together as a unit as well as the Indians do. The Indians react very well to the option type offense. Of course, they get a lot of practice against it. There's a misdirection.
And he's nailed and got on the carry, number 41, James Creek.
That was Heath Sexton on the tackle.
And the Oneida defense says, hell, it'll be 4th down and 6.
Well, the coaches looked at a lot of films of Tellico playing this week, and hopefully the Indians are ready for them.
Bill Meredith back to retrieve the punt, bounces back, and still rolling.
And it took a good Oneida bounce there.
And comes back. This ball landed almost at the 30 and bounced all the way back here to the 38.
The punter on that play was number 99. It's David McJunkin. These guys are big up front on defense. 6'2", 235, Adam Garrett. Of course, Ronnie Brandon, 6'5", 260.
Well,
Charlie Phillips is 6'1", 255. These guys are big.
And to give to Meredith. And it's going to get maybe 3 yards out of it before he's stopped by several Tellico planes. Bird picks up about almost 4. It'll be 2nd down and 6.
It's going to be interesting to see. You know, that's one of the things that we wondered about earlier in the week. We knew Tellico Plains was big. But a lot of times when you got big guys like that, you sacrifice speed. And we don't know if that's the case with them or not. And that's one of the things we're anxious to see tonight. If they are fast along with being big.
And quick
batted
pass
down.
Is batted down.
I believe that was number 90, Mike Hall, who batted that ball down.
They've got a couple of linebackers out there that really look small compared to some of their other players. Number 33, Tommy Cox, is a junior, and he really looks little out there compared to those other guys. But
he's 5'8", 175 pounds.
Yeah.
And Pike with a long count trying to draw him off sides, and there's a flag.
We got a
Josh is wide open, but
Josh
he's
Thompson,
overthrown.
A little overthrown.
But there's a flag down on the play.
And was thrown by the referee. So it's going to be illegal motion against Oneida. Look for Tellico Plains to decline that, which will bring up 4th down.
I didn't catch the motion. Jason may have bobbed his head or something just a little before he took the snap. It's declined, of course.
So it looks like it's going to be maybe a defensive battle here from the onset, as neither team yet to get a 1st down.
Well, you know, if you just look at the numbers and look at some of the games that Tellico Plains has played this year, they only beat Sequatchie County 9-7. You kind of expected that it might be that way coming in here.
And a high punt is going to be fielded down here by Daniel Harms. So it's going to roll out of bounds at the 25-yard line. So a pretty decent kick there for that by Shoemaker.
Well, we were talking about Harms last week. He had 27 rushes for 202 yards against Oliver Springs. Touchdown runs of 76, 3, 6, and 11 yards. And he threw a 2-point conversion. to number 20. That's Jeremiah Kirkland.
And staying on his feet, he's got some room. Manages to get out here to about the 43-yard line before finally being taken down by Phil Meredith and number 42, Eddie Sharp.
And so the first down of the evening will go to Tellico Plains. Pete Shoemaker had a hold of him back there, but didn't really have a good angle on it.
And finally being taken down by Phil Meredith is Harm. So it'll be second down and 7.
And he's hit and hit hard by guess who? Daniel King. He may think again before going through there again like that, Kevin. You know, with a single wing type offense, the Oneida linebackers are really going to be called on to play a really key position in this ball game tonight.
And this time it's number 7 on the carry, and that's Morgan Dalton, the guy that's regularly the quarterback.
Cully Phillips got him, but I believe he's got enough for the first. They do signal the first down. So Tellico Plains is now into Oneida territory.
Jake Lau coming up making the stop for the Indians.
Good play by the Oneida defensive line that time. He fought off a good block on the outside that time and came around to make the tackle. Well, we haven't seen them option it off yet. So far,
and there's a lead right over the center, good for about 5.
You know, sooner or later it's going to come that they're going to go with that and roll right or left and try to throw it downfield. Tellico Plains is evidently a team that doesn't pass much, mostly because they haven't had to with the running of Daniel Harms this year.
Third down 5 for the Bears, and keep it around the right end. And it's going to be first down for the Bears by a couple of yards. He makes it out to the 38-yard line.
Kevin, I may be mistaken, but I don't think that the Indians have played anybody in recent years that runs out of the single wing, have they?
South Pittsburgh was the last team that I remember that did it. May be wrong.
Oneida with a 5-man front.
Kirkland. And he's going to be taken down for about a 2-yard gain by Phil Meredith. Bring up second down and about 8. The thing about this running game, it's really chewing up the clock. We're already down to 5 minutes and 15 seconds left to go in the first quarter.
That's why a lot of times games like this will be low scoring. Both teams move the ball really well, but it's just such time-consuming drives that you end up with a fairly low-scoring game. Arm straight up the middle, and he's hit by Daniel King, and he may have got back to the line of scrimmage just barely. And he did lose just a little.
They run that same play, Mel, just a while ago. It's just about 3 or 4 plays, and Indians that time is ready for it.
Well, you know, that's something that the Indians do well. They adjust well to what they see and are good at recognizing a play that's similar or the same as one that's been run at a previous period in the game, and not just because we're for Oneida or have been doing these games.
And we've got illegal procedure against Tellico Plains. That'll back it up 5, make it a long 3rd and 13.
Of course, we tend to be a little biased toward Oneida, but some of the comments we make, I guess, but they are without a doubt the best team at adapting to what the other team has done than any high school team I think I've ever seen, with the exception of maybe some of those big Texas schools that could probably beat a lot of small colleges. Well, here's a new formation we haven't seen.
And throwing way downfield, that's going to be well overthrown by 10 yards.
That's Morgan Dalton, the quarterback. And your punter is number 99, David McJunkin, if they do indeed punt. This is that area of the field that you really got to be conscious of a fake.
Well, he goes back out, so they're going to go for it. Kind of catches Phil Meredith a little short back there. He comes back in.
There's a quick pass. It's
falls incomplete, and the Indians will take over at their own 38. Or pardon me, 37.
Well, they almost achieved their purpose. The Indians were backed up in punt return, and the punt return team went off, and it took them a couple of seconds to kind of catch on. Phil Meredith stayed back around the 10-yard line there for almost until the time they snapped the ball.
So the Indians take over with 4 minutes and 14 seconds left to go in the first quarter of a scoreless ball game. Cully Phillips straight over the middle. And Cully taking a few guys with him down to the 44-yard line. It'll be second down and about 3.
And with a second and 3, you might think the Oneida Indians may put one up. It's either Josh or Pete. .345 left, first quarter.
A little bit different formation this time for Oneida as Thompson comes out here wide left, and we've got a wing back. And the option over to Phil Meredith.
He's got some room.
He stays in bounds and is finally pushed out of bounds at about the 26-yard line.
Excellent play by the Indians. And Jason waiting to the last minute there, making that linebacker wonder if he's going to pitch it out there or not.
Well, I was talking to my wife earlier this week when we were talking about Tellico Plains, and we saw the ad about them in the Knoxville News Sentinel about this being their first playoff wins ever come this year. If the Indians can jump out early on them and kind of take them out of the game a little bit, they might get a little bit frustrated.
Well, yeah, a team that's not used to playing playoff games, there goes Phil Meredith off tackle for about 8 yards, maybe 9. But that's one advantage that Oneida has by having been in the playoffs so many times. That playoff experience is invaluable. And if you're not used to being in those situations, you get to thinking about, you get behind and we're down, and if we lose, our season's over. And a lot of times you can get really dejected and get emotional out of a game.
Second and short to give to Cully Phillips. He just blows his way over the center and will get the first down.
Oneida's offensive line has played well all year, and as big as these guys are that they're up against tonight, they're moving them around out there. That was just nothing on that play, but just a straight ahead offensive line surge.
Daniel King at tight end, and then wing back flanker, I guess we call it Pete Shoemaker. Thompson out wide right. Shoemaker's going to cut it up and run it, and it's going to get maybe about 3 yards down to the 10.
had that covered pretty well, Tellico Plains did. And it looked like he had a little more room to run than he actually did when he cut up in there. They sealed it off pretty well. This is the deepest penetration so far tonight by either team.
2.5 minutes left to go here in the first quarter. Of course, nothing your score, but Oneida threatening. Thompson out wide left, I formation backfield for the Indians. And the option this time to give to Meredith as he cuts it back inside, only a pick up about 3 down to about the 7. Needs to get to the 4 for first. Third down and 4.
Well, we might see the Indians come out this time and try to do a little motion. Maybe get some of those linebackers moving around back there. Shoemaker and Thompson out wide to the right.
Daniel King tied into the left. And back to pass is Pike.
Nobody's open.
He's going to have to take it, run, and it's going to be sacked. Back at the 15-yard line.
That's probably the best defensive coverage we've seen by a team this year against the Indians. Nobody was open. They had it covered very well.
So Wesley Billingsley will come in to attempt the field goal. He spots it down at the 21, which will make it a 31-yard field goal.
Well, it's well within his range. Some of these big guys from Tellico Plains try to get through there and block him.
It's up, he's going to miss it to the right. So the Indians drive down and come up dry on that as it comes with 1 minute and 21 seconds left to go here in the first quarter.
And the ball will come out to the 20-yard line.
Looks like maybe Kevin Wendell had a little bit of a hard time. Looked like the ball was snapped maybe a little bit behind him, and he had to bring it around, had a hard time getting a hold of it.
Boy, he's
never can tell. He's saved a lot of them this year.
He sure has. He's done some excellent jobs on some snaps that probably should have gotten away from him.
And that's just good old power running as a lot of Tellico Plains linemen just drove it downfield, made the hole. And Arms makes it down to the 27-yard line to make it second down and 3.
Of course, we don't know a lot about Tellico Plains, but from what that I've heard and understand is they don't do a lot of trap blocking, a lot of moving around, pulling guards, things of that nature. They just pretty much block you straight ahead and hope for the best. Pete Shoemaker with an excellent tackle that time on Harms.
He come around the end.
Third and 1. Third and less than 1, about a half yard.
So he goes for him just to try to pull this thing straight over center.
First down is the 30, and I don't know if you can see the ball there, but right there in front of the referee. The referee is almost on the 30. About a foot for a first down.
Straight ahead. And finally being rustled down by Phil Meredith. Harms picks up the first down for the Bears. Down to the 36, it'll be first and 10. And that should be the last play of the first quarter as it winds down. And that is the end of the first quarter. After one quarter play, nothing your score. We'll be back to Dr. Emmy Thompson Field right after you watch this. Back as Tellico Plains got it first and 10 at their own 36-yard line. Finally going to be taken down by Cully Phillips, but not after he gets up here close to the first down yardage. Kind of excellent play that time by Tellico Plains.
It was.
A lot of Indians going to the right side of the field, and he come left.
They made that little misdirection move to the right, and then came back left with it, just enough to make those linebackers and everybody else it looked like run to their left, and then the play came back right. Straight ahead this time. Big hole up the middle of that time for Harms to run it.
And picking up about
Austin Phillips comes out, being replaced in the center of the Oneida line by Chris Claiborne.
And coming back in is Harms. And picks up maybe a couple. It'll be third and maybe about 2.
That Oneida player with that deep penetration that time was number 77, Michael Lawson. Oneida got good penetration that time, but Harms just an excellent runner, able to evade the would-be Oneida tacklers.
And straight ahead, hit. Nailed by Cully Phillips.
Good read and a good hit by Cully Phillips.
It'll bring up fourth down, and it was about St. Mary's the field last time and went for it, so we could look for him probably go for it again here.
They're not even looking like they're going to bring in the punting team.
So it looks like anything inside the 45, Tellico Plains will go for it.
Of course, at this point in the game, as much as a defensive battle as this has turned into, you feel pretty comfortable going for it on 4th and 1.
Oneida showing blitz, and timeout called by Harms. With that, we'll take a break too right here. 9:53 left. Nothing your score. We'll be back right after this. Got their play. 4th down and about 1 for the Bears.
And
Oneida faithful come to their feet.
And he got the first.
8 bulls straight ahead as that big line firing way ahead. Oneida really going to have to. It's real hard to stop somebody when you've got an average line out there about 240 pounds to stop them getting at least 1 yard.
Well, that's all they're doing. They're just bulling their way forward. You know, they're not getting technical with Oneida or anything like that. It's just right now it's just nothing but size. It'll be interesting to see as this game winds down if they begin to get tired and if Oneida's conditioning will come in the second half. Harms with a nice run off tackle. About 8 yards on that.
Of course, they do got to realize too, it's just who's going to be in the better condition. When you've got somebody that big leaning on you all night long, you can get it. Oneida could get as tired as well as Tellico Plains could. 2nd down and about 3.
Got to give the Indians defensive line credit though. They may not be as big, but they're probably every bit as strong.
And he's going to be enough for the first down by Harms.
If you notice that time, number 50, Chris Claiborne, was on number 72, Charlie Phillips. Now, Charlie Phillips weighs 255 pounds, and Chris was pushing him straight back.
So first down for the Bears. Ball spot at the 27-yard line. The give to Harms. He's going to be taken down at the line of scrimmage by a host of Indians, led along the way. There for Oneida is number 50, Claiborne.
Misdirection handoff around the left side. It's covered well.
Still picking up maybe about 3 or 4 yards. Allen Evans with the carry.
Josh Thompson, Jake Lowe in on the tackle. Good containment that time by the Indians. They hesitated initially there just a little, but they've seen enough of this stuff already tonight from Tellico Plains that they didn't go for the fake right off.
So coming around left end is Harms. He's got some room. One man to beat. He's going to score. Tellico Plains draws first blood against Oneida with a nice run by Daniel Harms.
Nothing fancy, just took the ball, ran around the left end. Good blocking up front by Tellico Plains and a couple of good seal blocks there midway through the run.
And here's the kick. It's up, and it is good. With that, 7:15 to go in the half. Tellico Plains 7, Oneida nothing. We'll be back right after this. Back after the commercial break, Tellico Plains kicked off. Phil Meredith returned it back here to the 20-yard line. It'll be first down 10 to go for the Indians at that point.
Well, it was Josh Thompson. He picked the ball up and
okay. I've seen a 2. Well, the Indians take over with 7 minutes left to go in the half.
And see if Jason puts it up on the first play of this drive.
Gives straight to Tully Phillips right over center. Picks up maybe about 3.
I don't believe the Indians are going to be able to do much in the center of the field tonight. They're going to have to get their outside running game going with Meredith. And maybe turn Jason loose and let him pass it. Of course, Coach May is notorious for not letting the team see what he's got in the first half.
That's true. Here's to give to Meredith, and he's going to be plowed right at the 23-yard line. No gain on that play. Maybe a loss of 1. Stopped by several Tellico Plains players. Led along the way by number 73, Ronnie Brannon. 6'5", 260 senior.
A lot of colleges are looking close at some of these big players that Tellico Plains have got. I heard one of their coaches or somebody from their team talking earlier. Harvard is looking at one of their guys.
Third down long. Pike back to pass. Looking down here for Thompson. It's going to be way out of bounds. They'll bring up fourth down and 7. Jason just throwing that one away, as they were covered well on that play.
Well, 5:31 left.
Pete Shoemaker back to kick for the Indians. Only one man back deep for Tellico Plains.
And he's all they need. That's Daniel Harms. Good punt.
Going to hit and go out of bounds.
It stayed in bounds.
Well, it stayed in bounds. I thought it bounced out over there, but it stayed in. It's going to be down at the 38-yard line.
Not a bad punt. That's about a 30, little over 40-yard punt.
Remind everybody, we do have instant replay available tonight, but haven't had very many opportunities to use it really yet. We had one good run by Phil Meredith, but my fault, I forgot we had that capability, and I didn't call it up. And the gift to Harms, he's their workhorse, and he's going to be taken back. No gain on that play.
Hit by several Indians up front, and Daniel King ended up with him. It's going to be interesting to see, with 4 minutes and 51 seconds left, if the Indians can get the ball back. More than likely, Tellico Plains is just going to try to grind it out here and run the clock out.
And keep her around the right side. Finally found the corner. And it's going to be taken out of bounds right at midfield.
Oh, now I just don't agree with that at all. I'm sure what they're going to do is call one of the Oneida players for a late hit. But the man was running right down the sidelines. He wasn't out of bounds. The whistle had not blown when he was hit.
Personal foul against Oneida.
Of course, Coach May, referee explaining the call to Coach May, but Coach May doesn't seem to be that interested in his explanation of it.
That'll be first down for the Bears. We'll see if that fired up the Indians right here. 4 minutes and 30 seconds left to go here in the half. Tellico Plains with the lead, 7-0. Oneida has let their opponents score, I believe, either 6 or 7 times this year.
Well, that's Jeremiah Kirkland on the carry.
I was saying the Indians have allowed their opponents to score first in the ball games. I think it's 6 times, maybe 7 counting this one. And they've always managed to come back. But, of course, they've never had to overcome the size that Tellico Plains possesses. And Oneida will have to bring some plays in here to maybe utilize their quickness.
Well, you know, the coaching staff has been looking at Tellico Plains all week. I'm sure they've got... That's a definite holding call on number 41 on Tellico Plains, and that ball is going to come back.
Yeah, we got to hold it against Tellico Plains. As Indians get one back. Of course, we haven't got that call yet, but we're pretty sure that's what it was.
Are they calling that against? They're calling that against the Indians. How can you be holding a man? I'm not even going to comment on that because I'm going to get started here, and I don't want to get started. So the tackle had a hold of the man. I mean, it was blatant holding, and somehow the call goes against the Indians. I just do not understand this at all.
Well, the Indians are going to have to shake that off, reach down in, and just get it right here. It's first down, goal, ball spotted at the 5-yard line. Arms over center, picks up maybe about 2.
And they're marking it at the 2.
And the clock continues to run down to 3 minutes and 25 seconds left here in the half. Straight over center once again, touchdown for Tellico Plains.
Well, 3 minutes and 16 seconds left. Well, we've seen the Indians do it a couple of times this year when they had less than 2 minutes left on the clock. Drive all the way downfield and score.
And there's the kick, it's up, and it is good. 3:16, Tellico Plains 14, Oneida nothing. We'll be back right after this. For Tellico Plains, Mike Hall. And kick's going to be fielded by Meredith.
There he goes.
He could be gone.
He's going to have to beat number 7. And he did, and that's going to be a touchdown for Phil Meredith.
And that excites the crowds over on this sideline as Oneida has jumped right back into it and taking the momentum away from Tellico Plains.
And that's what they needed to do. They needed a big play to take the emotional and maybe even the physical momentum away from this Tellico Plains team. And that may just be the play to do it. And guess what? No flags. Morgan Dalton for Tellico Plains. Are they saying he stepped out of bounds? The referees are saying he stepped out of bounds at the 24-yard line.
So the Indians will have to reach down and get it. And there's the pitch to Phil Meredith.
Not a good decision by Jason Pike to do that, although it did. They did end up with a little plus yardage on it, but dangerous decision by Jason to pitch that ball to Meredith there.
Well, he kind of lost his footing there, is what allowed him the defense to catch back up to him.
You know, the general rule on that option stuff is if the man's got a hold of you, don't pitch it.
Yeah.
Straight up ahead.
Phillips straight over the center.
He had a hole there and tripped over his own man.
So it's 3rd and 5 now for Oneida.
Might see Jason throw it here. Oneida needs a score, desperately needs a score to get emotionally back into this ball game. Quick pitch to Meredith.
Phil around
nice
the left
move.
side. Good move. He's got the first down. 1 minute and 50 seconds left to go. Of course, the clock stopped with the first down. And they are spotting the ball just over the 10-yard line, so it'll be first down and goal. And the clock is now rewound, and it's come down now to 1 minute and 40 and running.
And they've got Tellico Plains defense spread out.
Cully Phillips straight over center, driving his way down to about the 6-yard line. Oneida takes timeout. We'll do the same. 1:22 left. Tellico Plains 14, Oneida nothing. We'll be back right after this. Second down to go.
Ooh, good pitch.
Bill Meredith around the right
He's
side.
going to score.
Touchdown.
Boy, there was a defensive player right in Jason Pike's face when he pitched that ball. I thought for a second that may have even had a chance of being intercepted. Man. So Oneida, after the big play, the big punt return by Phil Meredith, kickoff return rather by Phil Meredith, stepped out at the 24-yard line, and the Indians able to move it in and score.
The kick is up, and it is good. Right down the middle, 1:16 left to go in the half. Oneida 7, Tellico Plains 14. We'll be back right after this. Here for the Indians, back deep for Tellico Plains, number 20, Jeremiah Kirkland.
And, of course, back deep with him on the right side will be Daniel Harms. And they need to kick it away from Harms. They don't need him to get the ball and take a chance on him running it back and bringing him emotionally back into this game, and that's what they're going to do.
Fielded and taken down out here by number 17, Alan Evans.
And a smart kick by the Indians. Keep it away from their returners. I'm sure he meant it to go probably a little deeper than what it did, but or they may have even been trying to kick it up high enough, hoping one of those linemen may drop it and get the ball back.
Just can't tell. And there's Harms around your right end.
Good pursuit to the outside. He's not going to get anything out there.
Pickup of about 3, maybe 4. Well, they're going to mark it up here about to the 43, which would be a pickup of 5 yards.
Good pursuit down the line that time by the Indians. When you're in a formation like that, everybody's in tight in that single wing. That's a formation that's designed to run pretty much up the middle. You're not going to get much to the outsides unless you get a couple of good play-action fakes
Of course, that did
to freeze those linebackers. You know, they scored on a play like that. But
that stopped the clock, them getting out of bounds at 55 seconds. Now here around the right end. Good pursuit. We got a flag. And being pushed out of bounds by Phil Meredith.
And I didn't see what the penalty was. It was thrown behind the play, so you would imagine it's probably a holding call, perhaps even a defensive holding call. It is against Tellico Plains. Sometimes on the back sides of those plays, sometimes you'll see some of those defensive holding calls too.
They'll mark it off from the spot of the hole, 10 yards. And that's going to move it back to just about the original line of scrimmage. It'll be second down and 9. 48 seconds left.
So, not a big break, but a small break for the Indians now, pushing Tellico Plains back because they had one across midfield on that last play. Reverse, and it's covered well. And that's number 74, Heath Sexton.
He was buried, and he had several Indian players. If he didn't get him, he would have definitely been taken down.
Good penetration that time with the Indians' defense. They just shot the gaps, got in there real quick. And Alan Evans, the Tellico Plains runner, just had no place to go. Cully Phillips, Heath Sexton, and as they say, a host of Indian defenders waiting on the play.
Did they call timeout? Okay, they called timeout. I apologize for that. I didn't catch that. There's only 38 seconds left, so we stayed with it anyway. Some other big playoff action in the area tonight, Mel.
Yeah, there's some big games tonight. A lot of teams two teams tonight facing each other that are undefeated in 5A. Germantown, who's 12-0, is traveling out to play Memphis Christian Brothers High School. They're also, they're 11-0. The big game tonight, and one that a lot of people from this area will be interested in. Kingston is 12-0. Is playing at Marion County, 12-0, and Marion County currently the number 1 team in the state, or they were at the end of the season.
So 13 to go for Tellico Plains. And they're going to try the little run around the right end that they've done all night long. This time the Indian defense is there. And timeout called by Oneida, and we'll do the same right here. 31 seconds left. It's Tellico Plains 14, Oneida 7. We'll be back right after this. Tellico Plains will be set to punt. Back deep to punt is McJunkin.
It may be blocked. Oh,
and good
they got close to it.
He's got a high punt out of it. It's going to bounce and be down at about the 44-yard line. 42-yard line.
20 seconds left in the first half. Now, we were talking about some of those big matchups.
Well, they're going to have to snap the ball right here because that clock will start running as soon as they spot it. Last I heard, it was, of course, This being tape delayed, you'll know the outcome of that. Last I heard, it was Harriman ahead of Sweetwater at halftime, 10-7.
You know, Harriman is definitely playing some inspired football right now, especially after beating Meigs County last week and handily. Really, it was Jermaine Copeland versus Meigs County. Copeland scored, I think, 6 times.
41 of their 43 points is what he was responsible for. And Tellico Plains set to kick it off. And kick's going to be fielded by Josh Thompson. He gets a little room around the right side, but quickly closing down on him. Had a little bit of room over there, but firing through the line was number 46, I believe.
That's Stephen Bird, and number 43, Kimsey West. He was extremely fast and got in there real quick. And made Josh hesitate for a second and allowed Bird to catch up with him. Well, will the Indians come out throwing, Kevin?
I don't know. Gives to Cully Phillips straight over center. He had a little room over to the right, but apparently he didn't see it. He had a hole there.
Well, Cully's one of those power runners who doesn't really look for the hole as much as he does just grind it out. What a nice little gain. Second and about, well, a long 6.
And the pass looking long downfield for Thompson. He's got him.
Nice
catch by Josh Thompson.
Beautiful catch by Josh Thompson in double coverage. The ball placed very well. He had to turn around and wait on it just a second. But number 17, Alan Evans, and number 7, Morgan Dalton, were there for Tellico Plains. But they never looked back to see where the ball was. We might get a replay on that if we get a chance here.
Yeah, if we can get a replay on that, we would definitely want to see that because Pike was rushed out of the pocket and was forced to throw that. If he could have got maybe a little bit of yard or two on that, we'll try to get a look at that replay after this play. But if he could have got another yard or two more on that pass, it was 6 because he was past the defenders. Phil Meredith straight over center.
Finally, he broke through.
Loose.
Oh, he knew he had some yardage there, and I think it surprised him as much as it did us that he came squirting through there.
We're hoping to get the replay off the pass.
There it is. There's Pike back to throw.
Way downfield and had to turn around and catch it, but nice grab and good nice adjustment to the ball by
like
Josh
we said,
Thompson.
Tellico Plains defenders were looking downfield, not looking back toward the quarterback. Didn't really know that they knew the ball was coming, but they didn't know where it was.
So second down and about 2. Pike with the keeper, and it's going to be close to the first down. I believe he got it.
He got a first, but I'm sure he feels like he could have got a lot more. It looked like there was really a bigger hole to run there than what there really was. They sealed it up pretty quick.
And the official's going to take a timeout. No, they call first down. Thought they was going to take a timeout for the measurement. It's first down, 10 to go for Oneida.
This is the best thing Oneida could have done, to come out to turn the emotional advantage back to them. A chance to tie the game up here. Certainly at 14-7, they're not out of it by any means.
Cully working his way down to the 15-yard line.
That's a gain of about 5.
And that time, Mel, it looks like we got a good line surge by the Indians.
Well, I'm sure Coach Mace gave a rather inspired speech at halftime. Of course, a lot of times you don't know. A lot of times he'll go in halftime, you know, and a lot of coaches go in, you know, and really get on their players and tell them what they've got to do. And
yeah, I think Coach May was talking one time. He don't really do that.
He doesn't really do that. He tells them, you know, look, this game is up to you. It's up to you whether you win or lose. You know, all I can do is.
Nice pursuit by the Tellico Plains defense, but we got a flag late on the play by the linesman way back over here on about the 15-yard line. About the time that Phil Meredith made it into the end zone, he threw that flag.
Yeah, that flag is way behind the. And from the way the Indians are acting, it seems to me like it's going to be against them.
Illegal use of hands against Oneida. That referee making that call, you know, we're not up here trying to pass judgment on anything. Just as from a football point of view, he was back here almost on the hash mark opposite side of the play and threw that flag looking at a play that 3 other referees had a better view of.
Yeah, you know, I don't know what the deal is here, but now that's well, really 3, but that's 2 bad calls. And I don't know. Maybe he saw something the others didn't. You know, I don't want to, like you say, you don't really pass judgment on them, but.
And here's the pitch to Meredith. He's looking to pass.
Off
He's got
pass.
wide open.
Josh is open. Touchdown. And no flags on that one. You know, a lot of times you get a couple of bad calls, and if a team feels like, you know, they were unjustified calls, a lot of times that's all you need to really get you fired up and decide, you know, hey, we're not going to let this team or these referees take us out of this game. You know, we're a better football team than that, and we're going to show these people we can win, and we don't need any help from anybody but us.
Very important extra point. It's up, and it splits them. 8:47 left to go in the third quarter. We got a tie ball game, 14-14. We'll be back right after this. Indians.
And we expect this to be a little pooch kick similar to the one he had earlier. They're going to try to keep it away from Harms and Kirkland back there. They're not. Well, no, this one is going back.
Nice kick. Field it at the 11.
Good containment.
Still on his feet now, finally being taken down at the 30-yard line.
Cully had the initial hit on him, but not really a good angle at it. Kind of had his arm around him. Not enough to make the tackle on it.
Sean Rose in there on the tackle, as well as Jake Lau for Oneida. Let's see if that fired up the Indian defense. As Oneida right back in this thing, 14-14, after being down 14-0. And even though it looked like he was taking his time, maybe not getting much, he still managed to crank out 5 yards on that play.
Well, you know, that's the way that single wing works. It's not an offense that is real quick. It's an offense that when you get the ball, it's pretty much student body left, student body right thing. You just get the ball and you look to see where the hole is, and then you go through it.
And breaking into the secondary is Harms. Going to finally be wrestled out of bounds and taken down by Eddie Sharp.
I believe that's Job Jeffers. No, it is.
42.
It's Eddie Sharp. It's Eddie Sharp. I thought that was a 12 instead of a 42. He's got that cutoff jersey.
And he kicks the ball all the way down to the Oneida 42-yard line. It'll be first down 10 for the Bears.
Certainly the Indians are going to have to shut down Harms. The Oneida defense, the defensive ends seem to be a little wide. They're a little tighter now. They were a little wide on that last series. Misdirection, no place to go. Daniel King,
first one there, and followed by many of his friends.
Daniel King, Michael Lawson, and Jake Lau.
A big play for Oneida there and make it 2nd and 11.
And the Oneida fans are getting into it, getting fired up. Coach May yelling instructions to the defense. It's time to stop this Tellico Plains team right here.
Pickup of only about 3. It'll bring up the long 3rd and about 7.
Pete Shoemaker had a good shot at him there in the backfield. But Pete looked like he was on his knees there. That tends to limit your mobility.
Ball spotted just short of the 40. First down is at about the 32.5-yard line.
Well, don't expect them to pass. If they're going to pass, number 7, Morgan Dalton, will come in a quarter. He's going to be, Phil Meredith has got a shot at him. He's going to be rode out of bounds over here at about the 42.
Initial man.
Hey, what was that? I thought Harms was going to flip over the fence there for a minute. He didn't look like he was going to stop.
A loss of 1 on that, or a loss of 3. It'll be 4th and 10. And so they're going to decide to punt this one.
You've got to be careful here because Harms is right there to where that he could take a snap and go to the outside real quick. There it is. And it didn't fool anybody.
And that is a momentum turner there.
It certainly is. Oneida was ready for it. I believe when they saw Harms come up to the line like that, just like we did, they knew that there was a possibility they may try that.
The Indians can manage to push this thing down and get a score. They could put Tellico Plains back on their heels.
Well, they certainly have the emotional edge back in this game. Tellico Plains jumped up 14-0. There was a kind of a heavy air.
A little bit different formation. We've seen this several times tonight from Oneida. Pike with keeper around the right end. Got a little bit of room. Manages to get out here for about a 2 or 3 yard gain.
Well, you got to give Tellico Plains credit, though. They have given good pursuit on every play tonight. They're big, but they've got the speed to go with it.
Garrett with a stop for Tellico Plains. It'll be second down and about 7.5. That same formation, using Pete Shoemaker as a wingback.
Quick pass out to Josh. First
That's
down.
enough for the first down.
Well, they caught Morgan Dalton. He's playing off Josh quite a bit, I guess, or not Morgan Dalton, rather, number 17, Allen Evans. He's playing off of him quite a bit. I guess he's got a little respect, especially after the touchdown pass and after the big long gainer down here earlier. He's backed up and playing off of Josh a little bit. The Indians take advantage of it.
So first and 10, ball spotted right on the 43-yard line.
Thompson's now out in the slot, out wide left. Shoemaker wide left.
Give to Cully Phillips.
He's got a nice hole.
And bulls his way to the 39.
Well, the Oneida offense has definitely come out and made some adjustments and is doing things they need to do to move the ball. The defense still having a little trouble with that single wing offense of Tellico Plains, but they did very well on that last series.
Second and 6.
Backside pursuit, he got away from
And
it.
Pete, or pardon me, Jason Pike takes it down to the 30-yard line.
A big helmet to helmet lick there with number 44, Travis Bryson. Looked like he was going to be caught from the backside there for a moment, but he got away from it. Now Oneida speed seemingly coming into play now. I wonder if Tellico Plains is maybe getting a little tired, a little back on their heels. Wide receiver split left and right this time. He's going to pitch it to Phil.
And Phil with some outside speed and gets knocked out of bounds at about the 20-yard line.
And some of Oneida's coaching staff up here in the booth seem to think that should have been a late hit call there on Morgan Dalton. But he didn't really hit him. He just kind of rode him out there.
First down at the 19-yard line.
Oneida moving the ball, taking some time off the clock, Kevin. Well, this is a familiar formation. Expect to see Daniel King streak right down the middle here.
And
oh, Cully, big run.
bulling over people all the way down, close to a touchdown. He got down to about the 2-yard line before finally being taken down.
Nice hole there. Tellico Plains was kind of spread out. They might have expected Oneida to pass there.
And Tellico Plains bringing in some of the meat to make it first and goal from about the 3-yard line. They're going to try to put on a big goal line stand here against the Indians.
Harms comes in, James Cheek, they're fast outside guys, and they're big guys inside. They're spread out, though.
And Coley Phillips surges his way in for the score.
Excellent penetration by Tellico Plains there. But Cully found the seam and squeaks in for the touchdown. And that is a big score for Oneida. The first time they've had the lead tonight, and they've made a mistake and put the points on the visitors' side of the board there.
Well, everybody here in the stands knows who's got what. As West Billingsley set to kick the extra point, Kevin Wendell to hold. The kick is up, and it is good. 3:12 left to go here in the third quarter. It's Oneida 21, Tellico Plains 14. We'll be back right after this. 21-14, Oneida with their first lead of the game. Has now scored 3 unanswered touchdowns against Tellico Plains. If they can manage to do that, we'll be in the semifinals.
First one, number 9, Harms, team off Oneida.
If they manage to keep Tellico Plains from scoring anymore.
And we'll have to play either Sweetwater or Harriman. Not a pleasant prospect, but one we will most certainly be more than glad to accept. Nice kick. Forces Harms all the way back to the 5-yard line.
And it's going to be nailed out here about the 24
Number 9, Harms returns the kickoff.
by Sean Rose leading the way.
Good containment that time by the Indians on the kickoff. And Jerry Garrett is getting his foot into the kicks tonight. That one was all the way back actually to about the 6 where Harms actually caught it.
Well, that's 99. I said Sean Rose. Sean Rose is 89, so they got a 99 down there for Oneida. I'm not really sure who that might be. That's 89. Look like now you got a wrinkle in your shirt.
Got your glasses, didn't you?
Yeah.
Harms with a misdirection. He's got a lot of running room.
That's Dalton.
Phil Meredith takes him down and takes him down hard at the 38.
Enough for a first down, but that is Dalton with the carry.
Yeah, I said Harms. It was Dalton.
Well, we've seen Harms all night long. He's already had, I know, had to have at least 40 carries tonight already.
And is probably with that first series probably is close to 200 yards rushing if he's not over that already.
Of course, whatever he's got is about 90% of what Tellico Plains has got in total offense, if not more.
Dalton back in. He takes a snap, misdirection.
And number 20, Kirkland, is going to be wrestled down to the ground by Phil Meredith along with Pete Shoemaker.
Oneida has covered that play fairly well all night. I can only recall once that they've got any, what you would call good yardage off of it, more than 3 or 4 yards off of it. And the majority of the time, it's been Heath Sexton that has been there to turn the play inside with a good penetration.
Second down, 9 to go for Tellico Plains.
He's going to pitch. He wants to pitch. And that'll be a fumble.
And Oneida has recovered.
And a big break. And this is the kind of thing that will really take you out of a ball game. Oneida drives down and scores to make it 21-14. Now on the ensuing kickoff, Tellico Plains runs a couple of plays, fumbles it away. And a low pitch. That pitch was right at Harm's feet. And with the Oneida defenders right in his face, not a good decision on the part of Morgan Dalton.
Well, we alluded to earlier, Mel, earlier on, if Oneida can drive down and score here, they could really put Tellico Plains back on their heels because, as we said, they are experiencing their first wins in the playoff. That's obviously the farthest they've ever been. If they get behind, they could really go into a panic.
Yes, they could. Nice hole. Jason's got plenty of running room still on his feet. He's going to be taken down there by number 72. That's Charlie Phillips. But not before he gets about 17, maybe 16, 17 yards and a first down.
If we get a replay of that, I'd like to see just exactly how many tackles he did break. If we can get a replay on that here in a minute.
Several players hit him, but nobody really had a clean shot at him. He skipped his way through the line. And we'll try to get that after this play.
First and 10, ball spotted at the 23-yard line. And a gift to Cully Phillips straight over center, maybe a gain of 2.
Forward progress is going to get him about 2. Sean Harris now coming out for the Indians.
As here we see Jason take the snap. Looked like he's looking to throw, but kind of tucks it in, run, breaks 1, 2 tackles, and finally won't be taken down. but a good run by Jason Pike. Second down 8 now as we're back to live action.
Bounced off one of his own players there a couple of times.
And looking to pass. And has got a man open right across the middle down to the 6-yard line is Pete Shoemaker.
That was a nice pattern by Shoemaker. He just went about 5 yards and just cut it a little post there across the middle. Came open in front of the defensive backs and just behind the linebackers.
So first and goal at the 6 for Oneida. 16, 15, 14, 13 seconds left, and they're just going to let this one run out. They're not even thinking about taking a play. So they're going to let the third quarter come to a close, and we'll switch into the field. After 3 quarters of play, it's Oneida 21, Tellico Plains 14. We'll be back to Dr. Emmy Thompson Field in Oneida for our 4th and final quarter right after this. Shoemaker taking it around right in and giving it to Phil Meredith, and he's going to be taken out for no gain.
Well, he gained about a yard on it. Second and goal from just outside the 5. Well, Kevin, we talked about second half adjustments.
Pick up a 1, it'll be second and goal from the 6.
And Oneida has come out here, and really on defense, I think the big difference is they're just penetrating and they're just hitting. It doesn't really look like they've changed that much on defense.
Not really spreading it out now. And going out here to the left side, nice cut
move.
in.
Touchdown.
And for the touchdown is Jason Pike on the keeper. He's been the man here in the second half.
He certainly has, and that's a good example right there. They were looking for Meredith to get the pitch.
And we just spotted somebody in the crowd. Dr. Newell is here. And she's over in Hopkinsville. Got a practice over there. Wesley Bills is set to kick the extra point. It is up, and it is good. 11 minutes, 18 seconds left to go in the game. 28-14, Oneida with the lead. We'll be back right after this. For the Indians.
Another
nice
excellent kick.
This one fielded at the 8. Got a little bit of a hole. And Phil Meredith saving the day for the Indians down here at the 30-yard line. He's getting those kicks back, Mel, down inside the 10, but they're still managing to return them up to around the 30 and 35 every time.
Well, they're quick. Tellico Plains is quick. And they've still got some of those big boys out there on kick returns too. The Suicide Squad. Big defensive series here for Oneida. They could really take a lot of air out of Tellico Plains here if they stop them.
Daniel King with the stop on Harms after he picks up about 5.
Stop at number 74, Heath Sexton.
Also, Heath Sexton in there on the stop, and number 67 also on the bottom of that pile for Oneida is Sean Harris. We heard a rumor earlier in the week that Sean Harris had his arm broken in practice. Obviously, that's not true.
No, that was Michael Martin, number 22, Michael Martin.
Oh, okay.
That got his arm broken in practice. Don't really know exactly how that happens. Somebody fell and a helmet hit his arm or something. And Phil Meredith
with the carry
out there with the tackle. And
of course, now the clock is the enemy to Tellico Plains. We're down now to 10 minutes and 5 seconds left to go here in the ball game.
And with the type of offense they run, unless they have got some type of a 2-minute offense that they go into, this type of offense is a very time-consuming offense.
Yeah, and it's not the only deep threat that you ever got on an offense like this, of course, is if you break it away at the line of scrimmage with everybody jammed in there. And they really have only had 1 or maybe 2 plays where they've really broken one off, and that's been around the ends both times.
And with no passes, if you're not throwing any balls, you're not going to get any incomplete passes to stop the clock, and it's real tough. Backside pursuit there by Pete Shoemaker and Daniel King.
And Michael Opie Lawson with the initial hit.
And that's Jeremiah Kirkland with the carry.
It'll be second down and 7.
And, like you say, the clock is running. 9:17 left.
Of course, we alluded to earlier, in case anybody just moved to the area within the last couple of years, Dr. Newell lives in Hopkinsville. She used to be the team doctor and moved away several years ago. And she's made it back here tonight.
And Harm's taking about half the Oneida team with him before he's tackled out there by, looks like Heath Sexton, Phil Meredith, Pete Shoemaker, Daniel King, Cully Phillips.
whole team.
Oneida Indians. Jake Lau.
3rd and 3, 8:45 left to go here in the ball game. Oneida holding on to a 28-14 lead.
Yeah, you're talking about Dr. Newell. There certainly are no bigger fans of the Oneida Indians football program than Dr. Newell and her husband.
And he's going to get the first down. He's right on top of the line. They'll probably measure this for us. Well, yeah, somebody traveling from Hopkinsville. Now, that's a 4-hour drive.
It's more than 4.
Yeah, it's about 4.5.
It's above Clarksville, which Clarksville's above Nashville, and Hopkinsville, of course, is in Kentucky across the state line. About the same distance across the state line as it is from here to Pine Knot.
So they are going to measure for the ball.
It's a 4-hour drive to Nashville, so you got another hour and a half drive from Nashville up to Hopkinsville.
I get there in 3.
Well, next time you head over, remind me and I'll call the troopers and tell them to be watching for you on your way over.
As I think he's probably got it. Maybe not.
And we can't.
4th down.
We couldn't see the ball the way the referee is there, but they are signaling 4th down.
It's 4th and less than the ball link.
They'll certainly go for it.
And of course, we've alluded to all night. They'll just run this thing straight up the middle, and as big a line as they've got, it's almost impossible not to get a yard.
They'll get it, unless somebody like Michael Lost or somebody gets good penetration to stop them, and there it is.
Yeah,
they're going to get
4.
They're going to get 2 or 3 yards every time. The old Woody Hayes, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. But clock down to 8 minutes, and of course, as soon as they get the markers moved, the clock will start again. One thing you try to do when the time is running down is try to get the ball, try to get your play called, and get the ball snapped back there as quick as you can.
That's Kirkland, and he takes it down to the 30 before he's stopped by Cully Phillips, and that will be enough for a first down.
Tellico Plain's certainly not out of this game by any means. They scored 14 points fairly easily on the Indians in the first half. Having a little tougher go of it now. Of course, I'm sure both teams beginning to experience a little bit of that fourth quarter stretch. Starting to get a little tired.
And Harms is going to be nailed. We got a flag on the play.
And you would think, and Harms is going to be slow getting up. Cully put the stick to him. And you would expect that's probably going to be.
Well, the way it's gone tonight, you never know. And illegal block below the waist.
And I didn't see it.
So that'll back them up. 10.
The only player that could have been. James Cheek, number 41, I believe, was the only player that was on that. Well, no, number 46. I mean, Stephen Bird was the player on that side, and everybody else over there was Indian, so it must have been on him, but I didn't see the penalty. That's a big penalty. 15-yarder. 1st and 26.
And here comes Kirkland around the right end. That's pretty much the same play we saw him run a while ago.
Shoemaker cut him inside, and Josh made the tackle.
Pickup of about 5 or 6 on that play. It'll be 2nd and 22.
Well, they're bringing their pass offense in. Harms comes in. The quarterback, Morgan Dalton, comes in, along with number 17, Alan Evans, who usually plays defensive back, but when they need to pass, comes in.
No, it's kind of interesting to see
how Jeremiah Kirkland is out wide. So this is a new formation for Tellico Plains.
And there's the pass.
Oh, and overthrown.
And if Phil Meredith had a couple more steps, he would have had an interception. But, Mel, I was fixing to say, it's kind of unusual to see a high school team make as many adjustments in special situations as Tellico Plains does. Reminds you a lot of a college team.
Well, they do. Of course, at this level of play, we're 3 games deep into the playoffs here. All these teams are good, and they wouldn't be here if they weren't. They're all coached well, or they wouldn't be here. Looks like they're going to come out in the same formation. But you can tell by the way they run their patterns that they are not used to running this type of offense.
And that is going to be
picked off.
Intercepted.
Nice interception, diving interception by Phil Meredith. We definitely want to try to get a replay on that because that was a heck of a catch.
He almost got the one before that, and now does grab this one.
And really, that was not a bad pass. That pass was placed pretty much where it needed to be, just over the outstretched arms of the receiver, the intended receiver.
Of course, Indians need to play some good ball control offense right here.
Definitely do. They needed a good time-consuming drive, but you never know what the Indians are going to do.
Okay, only gain of about 1 or 2.
There's the replay. That's
taking
a
that just about
catch.
he caught that just about a yard, or pardon me, about a foot above the ground. Nice play by Phil Meredith.
I wish we had the view from the blimp on that one because that was a good catch.
And Oneida taking their time in the huddle. We're down to 5 minutes and 35 seconds left to go here in the ball game. Oneida 28, Tellico Plains 14.
They're definitely going to take everything. Ooh,
And
nice
Phil
block.
Meredith.
Nice block to seal it. Oh,
good run by Phil. You know, Stan, unable here to be with us tonight, he's off playing basketball for Maryville College, but he's always the one picking the offensive and defensive players of the game. And tonight he would have a hard time picking between Phil Meredith and Jason Tiger.
He certainly would. But I've already got in mind who I'm going to give offensive player of the game to.
Indians now coming out 2 receivers wide to each side and split formation backfield. Tully Phillips driving it over the right side, pickup of about 2. Of course, the main thing we're doing on that play, keeping that clock running.
Four minutes, 32 seconds left in this game. The Indians taking every second they can in the huddle, letting this clock wind down. 28-14. Misdirection. Phil, and he's
Phil,
going to be tackled behind the line. He's still on his feet.
If he's smart, he would have went ahead and went down and see that pursuit coming. He's not going anywhere. Take a chance on getting hurt on something like that. So it's going to be 3rd and 9.
Mitchell Hamilton on the tackle there.
We're under 4 minutes.
He gets up a little slowly.
3 minutes and 50 seconds left to go in the ball game now. And the clock is running.
The score is 28-14. Tellico Plains jumped out to a 14-0 lead, and the Indians have since scored 28 unanswered points and are within 3 minutes and 30 seconds of advancing into the semifinals of the state championships. Misdirection.
That play was read big time by number 44, Travis Bryson.
And he's down on the play, whether he just can't believe he got in there that clean or if he's shaken up a little. He's up now.
That play helped him out by 10 yards on this punt. As that backed him up, this will be 4th down and 20. But the clock is still running. By the time they get this kickoff, it'll be under 3 minutes, as we've got 3 minutes right now left to go in the game. The Indians looking at Mel. I don't know if anybody ever noticed it or not, but Oneida is undefeated in the quarterfinals of the playoffs. Every time they made it to the quarterfinals, they have won.
Legal procedure against Oneida, so they're going to back it up even farther, and that will stop the clock with 2:52.
This is their 3rd quarterfinal appearance. Their first one was back in against Westmoreland back in '89. They won that game 10-7. Next one came in '92 against Trousdale County. 17-6 was the final in that game.
High snap. He gets it. Got
Nice
a nice punt.
Going to be fielded at about the
Oh, nice
45.
bounce. Yep, pick it up.
Number 9 should have got away from that Harms.
That's dangerous to be running next to the ball like that. If that thing takes a funny bounce and hits you, Oneida's got the ball inside the 40-yard line. Well, Oneida will certainly be backed up in a pass defense. Probably let them have that short underneath stuff. And if they do get past it to the outside of the field, we'll try to tackle them inside.
And back to pass this time.
And there comes the pursuit. Oh, and number 43 took out 2 men.
And to get his way out of bounds, going to start the clock at midfield.
Number 43 was Kimsey West, who came back, I believe, to block Heath Sexton. And I believe it was Pete Shoemaker who had backside
and
pursuit coming, or Sean Rose won. I didn't really get the number. And he took both of them out.
So getting out of bounds was the main thing on that, as well as the first down. 2:13 with the clock stopped.
And Kirkland's your quarterback again.
Looking downfield, he's going to lob that.
That's a pass. He only had one man down there, one receiver. Oneida had 6 defenders on that.
And that will just about do it.
I do not understand a play like that when you've got a team backed up in a prevent defense and you've only got one receiver going downfield. That's asking for it.
As soon as he threw that, everybody up here could see that was picked off. He overthrowed it, just kind of lofted it up there. And you, of course, doing that, you give the defense a chance to react to the ball just as much as you do your offense.
Plus the fact you've only got one receiver back there. It's not hard to cover one guy when you've got 6 defensive backs in the game.
And the clock is running.
Backs, linebackers and defensive backs.
And Indians taking a timeout. For some reason, we'll do the same. 1:35 left to go in the ball game. Oneida 28, Tellico Plains 14. We'll be back right after this. And welcome back. 1:35 left to go. It's first down, 10 to go for Oneida after the interception by Jason Pike.
And we just heard that Harriman 17, Sweetwater 7 with about 5.5, 6 minutes left to go in that game. Of course, by the time this is aired, everybody will already know who Oneida's opponent will be next week.
And that game will be played here.
And it looks like right now that it may be Harriman and a team that's definitely dangerous at this point.
And Cully Phillips bulls his way up.
And you expect that every play from Oneida will be like that now.
Timeout, Tellico Plains. We'll do the same. 28-14, 1:29 left to go. We'll be back to Dr. Emmy Thompson Field right after this. And welcome back as Tellico Plains is set on defense. I think they've got one more timeout left, and I'm sure they'll exercise that. If they do, we'll just go ahead and stay with it up here. 1 minute and 29 seconds left to go in the ball game. Second down and about 5.5.
Quick pitch to Meredith.
Meredith puts it in, and he is nailed by number 41, James Cheek. And Tellico Plains is going to take their other timeout on third down. We will stick with it.
And while we got a chance to talk about some of the other big games that's going on tonight, we mentioned earlier that Oak Ridge is playing host to Knox Central tonight, and I guarantee you, if you get a chance to see that, I'm sure the highlights of that will be on channel 6 out of Knoxville tonight.
It'll done been played by the time
it'll be played by the time this is on, but I'm sure everybody that watches that will be a really big crowd at that game. Probably the biggest crowd in the state tonight will be at that game, because that's a big rivalry. Cofield tonight is playing at South Pittsburgh, and Trousdale County is playing at Battleground Academy. And Cofield, if they do manage to squeak out a win against South Pittsburgh is an excellent team. They're probably going to be facing Battleground Academy, and that's the team that I think is probably going to win the state championship this year. Of course, Oneida fans familiar with Battleground Academy.
So third down and about 6.
That's a good fake by Jason Pike.
He kind of carrying that ball out there a little bit loose.
And that was a nice long play. It took about 10 or 11 seconds.
And Tellico Plains takes our final timeout. And we will do the same. 1 minute and 7 seconds left to go here in the ball game. It's Oneida 28, Tellico Plains 14. We'll be back right after this. And welcome back, as it is 4th down and about 3. First down is at the 46. Pete sets to punt it away. Harms back deep for Tellico Plains. Good rush. Almost got it.
Blocked.
And the ball rolls out of bounds. Look like it went through Josh Thompson's legs. It rolls out of bounds at the 22.
Josh certainly downfield quick. Well, Kevin, who's going to win the state championship 5A this year?
Probably Murfreesboro.
That's who I'm picking. Murfreesboro, Riverdale, Cleveland. I'm picking Cleveland to repeat as 4A champs. And I believe the state championship is being played tonight at Marion County, between Kingston and Marion County.
Yeah, and
Brentwood Academy is probably going to make it into the playoffs, but they're going to have to face Cleveland.
in the championship.
Yeah, or into the championship, and I don't know who's going to be there against Marion County.
And running out of bounds is Harms, trying to stop the clock.
But we want to stay away from making any predictions of the Class 2A.
Yeah, definitely.
We don't want to give nobody any bad luck around. Single A, probably Battleground Academy. I'd say whoever makes it to the playoffs or to the state championship from Oneida's bracket is probably going to be playing David Lipscomb. They seem to be just an unbeatable team out there.
Almost another interception. Pass intended out there for Harms.
I'm telling you, you cannot pass on a team that has got 6 people back in defensive coverage, and you've only got 1 receiver going downfield.
Well, as you alluded to earlier, they probably got a little bit of inexperience in the passing department because they have run all year. And it's showing now.
Well, it certainly is. Now, Kirkland was kind of loping downfield over to this side, not really into the play. You can tell. See, he's not even involved in the play. He's just standing over here. The only man he's looking for on the reception is Harms.
And Cully drives his man into the turf, out of bounds. 38 seconds left. And that is enough for the first down.
Every time he goes back to pass, he's looking right at Harms. What would probably work better for Tellico Plains right now would be to stick Harms back there in the backfield and let him run a draw play.
Well, this is obviously a pass, no backs.
And he's looking over this side this time, not looking for Harms.
He's going to run. And running him out of bounds on the 47. 30 seconds left.
Well, even if Tellico Plains could manage to score with 30 seconds left, there's not going to be a whole lot they're going to be able to do to win this ball game down by 2 touchdowns. They are moving the ball, though.
Well, Oneida's playing it pretty soft. You can see they only got 4 linemen rushing. Looking way downfield, could be picked.
Oh,
what
beautiful
a
catch by Daniel Harms.
And they'll have to hurry up and get on the line because they have no timeouts left. Of course, the clock will start. It's down to 22 seconds. It stopped right now. It will start as soon as they get the down markers placed. And the clock is now being wound.
Quick pass over to Harms.
He cut it back inside. Bad move. He should have tried to get it back out to the outside, and they won't be able to stop it. And the Indians have won this quarter-final game against the Tellico Plains Bears by a final score of 28-14. Oneida Indians advance to the semifinals to take on either Herman or Sweetwater next week. We'll be back with some comments from some of the players and Coach May right after this.
One of the linemen for Oneida. Sean, you got the plaque here in your hand symbolizing the quarterfinals, and that was a tough-fought ball game tonight. As Coach May and them said earlier in the year or earlier last week, there was a big football team. How'd y'all manage to handle it down inside there in the line?
Well, they was big, but we just stayed low and tried to fight with them the best we could.
What kind of adjustments did y'all make at halftime in there? We noticed y'all come out, the defense managed to shut them down, and y'all really started performing well offensively.
Well, we just changed like a couple of offensive blocking assignments, and defense we just changed like some of the way the linemen were handling the bigger people, and that worked real well for us.
Well, Sean, appreciate you coming by, bud, and congratulations. Good luck next week against Harriman.
All right. I'd like to tell my grandma and grandpa watching at home, hi.
Good deal. We'll be back with a talk with Coach May right after you watch this. May, Coach, congratulations on your quarterfinal win tonight. Next week's semifinals. You knew Tellico Plains was a big team coming in here tonight. What did you do in preparation for this week and tonight and facing for a really huge football team?
Well, we just played our regular defense most of the time, and Coach Birchfield made some great adjustments. And some of the things we would adjust worked for a little while, and then they would adjust to it, and then we'd have to come back and make some other adjustments. I think one of the biggest things that we did was that we just had to sell our kids on the idea that you got to play the whole 48 minutes, and I think it showed at the end of the ball game that we're used to playing the whole 48 minutes, and we got some momentum and some strength, and our conditioning came through in the fourth quarter and third and fourth quarter, and I think that coming out and scoring in the third quarter after the great play by Phil that got us the first touchdown kind of changed their tune, and they just didn't throw the ball well enough to hurt us, and that kind of helped us some.
Yeah, it was a fine job on defense tonight by the Indians, as you just said, and I noticed one thing tonight. Pete Shoemaker kind of slid into I guess as a wingback position there. Would you care to elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, we were wanting to put Josh out there one-on-one on that corner, and we threw to him a couple times in that situation. We figured that he wasn't going to be able to cover Josh if we put him out there. Plus, Pete's the next tight end. He played tight end as a sophomore, and you notice we ran a few sweeps behind him, and he's able to block people, and it really worked well. I was real pleased with what we did, and that little change was one of the things that we tried to do to make them come into it. They play a 40, and if you give them a double tight end look, they'll walk their linebackers up and it looks like a 6-2. Well, that way we've got them into a defense we recognized all the time, and we didn't have to change what we were doing.
Well, you had them well prepared tonight, and especially after this second half started, they really looked sharp. Now, next week, of course, as we just learned, Harriman defeated Sweetwater 17-7, and you'll have the Blue Devils once again, and that game will be played here at Oneida.
Well, yeah, it will. Well, they're tough. I thought one dose of Jermaine was enough, but we'll see if we can take two and do the best we can with it. I think that it's going to be a great ball game. I think we'll be ready to play, and I know they will be.
Okay. You said you had a bone to pick.
Yeah, I had a bone to pick with y'all, fellas. You talked last week about Coach Davis and me being from Alabama. I lived in Alabama 8 years, and I consider that my 8 years of exile.
Okay.
I'm from Clinton, Tennessee. Okay. And I've coached all except those 8 years out of 26 in the state of Tennessee.
Mel said that.
Well, Mel said that.
We didn't mean it like you were from Alabama.
No. You meant it like both us coaches were from Alabama. And I'm not from Alabama. That's Ricky Dale Harper. And you hurt my feelings real bad when you said that. But I may get over it by next year.
We certainly apologize.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, fellas. But I'm proud to be from Clinton, Tennessee, and I lived in Alabama, and you could always tell me and my kids were the only ones that had orange on in the whole state. Thank you very much. Appreciate what you do.
Appreciate you coming by, and congratulations.
Good luck next week.
Thank you.
Well, Mel, the Indians come up with another big win, and as I alluded to earlier, Oneida, the best of my recollection, undefeated in the quarterfinals. Every time they've been, they've won, and now they're into the semifinals for the third time.
Yep, big game, man. Look who joins us here, none other than Michael Opie Lawson.
Understand that, boys.
He's playing basketball.
Okay.
And we missed Luther up running the clock tonight, too. Michael, as we talked to Sean Harris earlier, it was a tough game inside tonight in there on the line. And you all had a big job ahead of you facing some really big men.
Oh, yeah, probably some of the biggest line all around that we faced all year. I mean, they were really tough and physical. You just had to get low and just drive them out of there. It's really tough.
As we talked to Sean earlier, he didn't really highlight a whole lot on what they talked about in there at halftime. Could you maybe highlight us up what kind of adjustments you made there? He said, you changed a few blocking assignments. was anything else going on there at halftime to turn this thing around?
Well, Coach Harper and Coach Hall set up here in the press box, and they always come down halftime. We just drew some stuff up on the board and showed us what we need to do and just adjusted to it. And we came out in the second half and just played harder.
Y'all did a fine job tonight. Next week, y'all have got Herman, and that game will be played right here, and good luck against the Blue Devils.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for stopping by.
Okay.
Well, Mel, as he said it, this made the few adjustments they had to there at halftime, and it paid off as they was really kind of back on their heels there in the first quarter and just really turned the thing around, especially in the second half.
Well, they did. They jumped out ahead of them 14-0, and there was really a heavy air in the stadium here, and everybody was like, man, are we going to, lose this game? And they've done the same thing they've done time and time again. We've seen it before. They fall behind, come out, tie the game up, or at least be close to tying it, but when they go into halftime and come out and just totally dominate the team in the second half, which they didn't really totally dominate Tellico Plains, but they did the things they needed to do. They stopped them when they needed to stop them, and they moved the ball down the field and scored and come away with a big win.
Of course, next week, that game will be played here at 7:30, Dr. Emmy Thompson Field here in Oneida. It's the state semifinals. The winner goes to the Clinic Bowl, and it's either going to be Oneida and Herman, we've saw them earlier this year. It's Jermaine Copeland and the Mark Boyd show all over again.
That's right, and of course they beat Sweetwater tonight. Sweetwater is the defending state champs, not going to make the return trip to Nashville.
And that game was in Sweetwater.
That's right, and not only that, but this guarantees that, once again, somebody from Region 2 AA is going to be the representative from this Eastern bracket at the state championships. And I'm not going to make any predictions about what happens when that happens, but of course we've got to get by Herman first, and that's going to be real tough. Copeland last week was a one-man team, and they really took it to who was it they played last week?
Meigs County.
Meigs County, yeah, the number one team in the state. That escaped me for a minute there, but 43-14, and he accounted for, counting a two-point conversion that he threw, he counted for 41 of their 43 points, and that's the thing is, just like we said before, when they played them in the regular season, you're going to stop Herman, you got to stop Copeland, but then you can't look past Boyd and Love and the other players they've got. But if you can contain Copeland, you can force them to do some other things that get them away from their normal game plan.
Well, I'm sure we'll see a different Herman team than we saw earlier in the year, and the Indians will have to be well prepared and for that, and I'm sure the coaching staff will have them ready.
Well, right now, Herman is probably the most dangerous team in the state in any classification because they beat the number one team in the state. They had absolutely nothing to lose coming into the playoffs. They're looking at a chance to go to the state championship for the first time in the school's history. They're going to come in here fired up, and they're going to come in here ready to play. And if Oneida's not ready for them, Oneida may be watching the state championships instead of playing in them.
That's right. They'll have to be well prepared. Like we said, it'll be a different Herman team and probably a tougher one. They'll need everybody out here. If you can, by all means, make it out here to Dr. Emmy Thompson Field Friday night, 7:30. It's the state semifinals. And be sure to go by and tell all of our sponsors that you appreciate them sponsoring this here and bringing this game to you. For Mel Akers, I'm Kevin Akers and the entire crew here on Channel 5. Thank you for joining tonight's game. The Oneida Indians advance to the semifinals 28-14 over Tellico Plains. See you next week. And coming on.